Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And now that we're back in Athkatla, we can get back to doing some earlier quests and some new ones. Also, it's 5 in the morning right now, but if it was proper nighttime, there would be a group of soldiers here advising us not to be out and about on the city streets during the night because it's dangerous due to the ongoing guild war. But since it's early on in the morning, they are gone already, and there is no chance for any of these nighttime encounters between the Shadow Thieves and the vampires to spawn for us. So let's just teleport to the Gistive estate and talk to Sir Sarles on behalf of the Temple of Helm. Oh, actually, he doesn't spawn in the kitchen until after we've had a conversation with the butler, and since this is our second visit in the Gistive estate, the butler doesn't approach us automatically anymore. He did that the first time we were here, when we wanted to progress Jan's questline and speak to Lady Gistive, but now we have to talk to him manually and ask about Sarles. Sir Sarles is a guest at the moment. No doubt you are from some church or another, and now we will be able to talk to him. So excuse me, sir, did you ever hear about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Who is it? Might I ask why you have disturbed my meditations?
My creative muse must be gently awakened. So yeah, of course, Sir Sarles is a popular artist, and he has already been approached by the other churches. Your offer is the same as the others, gold and the satisfaction of serving the one true whatever. And no matter what we say here, he's not going to be impressed, because he already has all of these things: the prestige, the gold, and the favor of many influential figures in the city. What do I need the backing of a church for? Such institutions demand much of a person.
What I really need is to work in the medium of my choice, pure Ilithium.
Anything less is an insult to my skills. But Ilium is cost and rare and difficult to obtain, and he's going to direct us to an ore merchant by the name of Gerlia on the promenade, and he wants 200 pounds of Ilium, which, as we will soon find out, is just crazy talk. And yes, Edwin, if only it was that easy to just cast a few spells and be done with it, huh? Anyway, our next stop is going to be the Delrin estate, because in the last episode a messenger informed us that Anomen's younger sister Moira was murdered, and we need to investigate.
Declare yourself.
Lord Anomen, welcome home. Your father waits within. He is in the kitchen, deep in drink. He is angry with me? Yes, my lord, nothing has changed. But Anomen's ready for it. I am not the child that I used to be. Let us enter. But before we check up on Lord Kor in the kitchen, let's just open up these two chests for a little bit of experience and some random goodies. Alright, and now we can talk with Anomen's father.
Well, the prodigal son returns, heir to his mother's foolishness as always. Well, let me ask you, how far have you roamed, son, running away from me?
Speak not of my mother, drunkard. You were never worthy of being her husband.
Yet I was, and your father as well. So basically he's like, yeah, I fucked your mom, Anomen. Never forget that, boy. Your mother would still be alive if you children weren't such a handful. Shut your mouth, father. Unfortunately, Anomen is going to change his tone in a second. Yeah, I liked your previous stance way more, Anomen. Anyway, we're going to ask about Moira. Idiot boy, she's dead. And now Kor Delrin is going to push that notion onto us that it must have been Serk Farad that arranged this murder, because Kor and Serk were big rivals in the mercantile world for many years, and for him there is no other option. It must have been Serk. Do you understand nothing? He killed her because he could. For years I embarrassed him amongst the merchants, undercut his prices and stole his customers. When my business failed, he had a monopoly on the Kalimshan shipping routes. He would not be happy until I had nothing. By the end, Moira was all that I had, and now he's taken her too. And there were no guards because he has no money to pay them. Serk has taken all of it, all of your mother's and sister's things. He didn't take it, father. You lost it. I lost it because you abandoned your family. If you hadn't run away, Moira would still be alive. You should have been here to protect her, to save her from the brigands. And that is some domestic psychological abuse here. That actually gets to Anomen. You should have been here, Anomen. Never forget that. And yeah, Kor Delrin here is going to want Moira avenged, and he's going to urge Anomen to go and kill Serk and his son. But Anomen is going to confer with us in private. And this is a pivotal point in Anomen's questline.
I am well worried by what has gone on in this place. Though the choice seems clear and right, I am hesitant to take it.
And yeah, now depending on how we guide Anomen through this, how we advise him, this is going to affect whether he passes his test and becomes a knight or not. And there are two options. We can either do what his father wants and go for revenge, and go to Cirque's estate and kill everyone there, and that is going to make him fail his test. He is going to be judged unworthy to become a knight. Or we can leave the matter in the hands of the local authorities and pursue the lawful path, which is the good way, and it's going to make him become a knight and pass his test. Unfortunately, there is no third way. I wish there was, because this option does not sit well with me too much, because as we will see, Athkatlan authorities are as corrupt and ineffective as any other local authorities, and this is not going to really get us anywhere. But you know, it's those options are not supposed to be perfect. I guess this is all about values and our approach to different situations. So yeah, the path you are considering is evil, Anomen. Do not take it. Aye, this is right. I feel it in my bones. I've lived under the bitterness of my father's spirit my entire life. It has tainted me to the point where I am willing to partake in it. He can keep his hatred and drown his sorrows as he has always done. Yeah, and we'll bring this matter of the murder to the magistrate. And also, there's a important notion here being brought up, that we don't even know if Cirque is guilty or not. It's only Anomen's father claiming that it must have been him, but there's not going to be any evidence pointing to him. Yeah, he explains that they've been enemies, and it's natural for his father, I guess, to assume that it must have been Cirque. But now is the time for a little follow-up.
What is it?
Yeah, slay thy sister's murderer.
Nay, father. It is time for this foolishness to end.
What do you mean to say, Anomen? Only that killing Cirque in vengeance would be murder, as surely as my sister's death was. So there's going to be a little back and forth. Apparently he claims that the magistrate is a pawn of Cirque. Bailana is a good and noble woman. You said this yourself before you slipped into the foul clutch of the drink. You dishonor Moira's memory. You would allow the killer of your sister to go free? You are despicable. You are an insect. I love that insult. You are an insect! Yeah, Cirque is the killer. Do you have proof, father? The proof lies in the fact that he has taken everything else from me. Killing Moira would complete my defeat. Aye, now I see. Such has always been the case in this household. This is about you and only you. Your daughter's death means nothing beyond how it affects your pride and your comfort. I suggest no evil. I suggest the lawful path. Obey me. But Anomen is going to do no such thing. If you step out that door, then you must never come within again. Don't do this, father.
Shut your mouth! If you leave now, you are forever banished from this place. You will be cast from this family and become a nameless dog, not fit to cower at my feet.
I have been cowering at your feet for all my life. Goodbye, father. Perhaps I shall see you again before you drink yourself to death.
You are nothing, boy. Nothing. And we're just going to leave, but not before giving a final greeting to Lord Kor.
What is it?
Get out of my house, dogs. I would spit in your face, but you aren't worth the effort. Well, I doubt you would succeed in hitting your targets, you know, in the state that you are apparently in. But anyway, now we're going to go finally to the Council of Six building, which is kind of long overdue. If you remember from one of the first episodes, we met a fellow Medine here that wanted us to go inside and speak to his master, Tolgeris, because apparently the Cowled Wizards would have a mission for us. And we are going to speak with Tolgeris, although I am not going to accept his quest, and I'm not going to work with them. But you need not worry, since this is a completionist playthrough, I of course will do all of the quests. But the thing is that we can basically obtain that quest and do it regardless. If we have accepted the mission from Tolgeris, we can kind of stumble onto the quest in many different ways.
Certainly.
But yeah, let's talk with Tolgeris then.
I am one of the
And there's actually... Well, first I'm going to do the conversation as I would normally do it, and then I will do it again with to just showcase a couple of warnings that our party members are going to have for us, warning us not to trust the cowled wizards and not to work with them. So, yeah, first I would like to know where Imoen is, and he doesn't really care too much. Put aside such demands. I will not put it aside. Either you tell me where Imoen is, or you shall not receive my assistance. So he claims that if we perform this task to him, he will look into it and maybe be able to provide us with some information. If this means we do not work together, so be it. This is exactly what it means. So yeah, that's my normal course of action, I guess, but if we display a little bit more willingness to work with him, there are going to be some warnings, especially Edwin. Edwin is going to warn us multiple times in this conversation, depending on like which dialogue options we choose. Yeah, not to get involved in the cowled wizard's machinations. Yeah, Jaheira chimes in. Yeah, because he wants us to give him our word before he even tells us what the mission is about. So it's kind of like Tamoko in Baldur's Gate 1, when, you know, promise me, and then I'll tell you what this is all about. Yeah, so again, Edwin says that we should not trust him. Alright, so we will just refuse, and that will be it. Now let's take a look around and see the other characters here. Here's Cornel, and from him you can purchase the license to be able to legally cast magic in the city and not be pestered by the cowled wizards. And he says that some wizards have proven themselves worthy of a license, and you prove yourself worthy by making a monetary sacrifice of 5,000 gold, but we're going to do no such thing. Also, if you talk with some of these like workers here, they're going to talk a lot about taxes and how they want to squeeze as much money out of the citizens as possible. And here is Larsh, and he's going to actually have a little bit more to say once we are back here very soon. It's nothing really significant, but I want to showcase it because there is a little bit more to this guy. If we have a certain tax note. Here is Lord Ketlar Argrim, which we are going to have some dealings with later on, because we are going to obtain the Mage Stronghold, and he is going to turn out to be a fanatical mage opponent. Now, Korgig Axehand is involved in Analia's quest later on. Here's Jeremiah Jamtoes. Apparently, he has some dialogue options where he says that his farm was taxed as a castle, and he's here to... yeah, and he's here to basically talk about this issue. And here's, oh yeah, here's, there's also a secretary guy that's pretty inconsequential, and finally Bylana. So yeah, Anomen of course is going to explain the situation, but Bylana is going to say that there is little that she can do, because there is no evidence linking Cirque to the murder. Yeah, and although this conflict between Kor and Cirque is well known, and that is not going to be enough. Yeah, the rule of law must prevail. Surely you understand. Anomen, of course, has a strong reaction to this. But yeah, is it not time for this hatred to be put to rest? I do not know. And this is the last chance where we can change our course, and we can still go for the revenge option. But we are going to reinforce the belief in Anomen that he has to, you know, pursue this lawful path. And that Cirque may be innocent, of course. Yeah, and this is basically going to be the end when it comes to his quest for us. And like 12 days later, I think, when we are outside of Athkatla, he's going to be approached to show up in the Radiant Heart headquarters for his test. This is pretty funny from Edwin. I disagree with you completely, although I'm sure you will ignore me. It's my finding that vengeance feels ever so much better than nobility. But yeah, for us it's going to be basically be the end. He's going to have his test in about 2 weeks, and that's going to be the end. But I'm mentioning it because if we had continued his romance, there would be another follow-up that would introduce a little bit more drama to the whole storyline, because if you romance him, later on there is a follow-up where basically it turns out that whatever we advised him to do was the well, kind of quote-unquote the wrong thing. And so basically, if we pursue revenge, it's going to turn out that Cirque was innocent. And if we pursue this lawful path here, it's going to turn out that Cirque was guilty. And then Anomen is going to leave our party and chase after either Cirque or his father, and we're going to have to basically go after him and save the romance. But yeah, since we are not romancing him, that's not going to happen. Anyway, let's go to the Joaquin's Promenade now, and we're going to speak with that ore merchant now.
Certainly. Greetings, good customer. A pearl to you.
So she's going to say that, yeah, he's mad, raving, out of his mind. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? As the meme says. But anyway, she says that she only gets like 50 pounds a season at most, but we don't have that kind of time. So she is going to suggest two options. Either she can direct us to her source so that we can try and get some extra Ilium out of him, or we could use a substitute. And let's first ask her about the source, because if we talk about the substitute, she's just going to go away. And yeah, apparently that source wants to remain hidden, and we have to incentivize her a little bit to tell us who he is. And 1,000 gold is needed for that. And yeah, he is Unger Hildark in the Copper Coronet, and he's at enough of a risk just coming here, because he's a Duergar. Yeah, the Copper Coronet hides worse than him within. Besides, they have to eat too, you know. Nothing wrong with a mutually beneficial trading agreement. He's in disguise. His kind doesn't look all that different, and as long as he's left alone, he's fine. Not a bad guy once you get to know him. So yeah, now that we know that Unger Hildark is a Duergar and providing her with the Ilium, we are going to be able to talk with him about supplying us with some Ilium. But let's also discuss that substitute. And she claims that Sir Sarles wouldn't know the difference between the two, and she's going to suggest a derivative of Ilium being fashioned for us, an alloy. And this is going to be some pretty good service, because she's going to have that ready by tomorrow for only 200 gold. Although she is going to change her price when she's back tomorrow. But anyway, now that is done. Also, I'm going to elaborate on the different outcomes with Sir Sarles a little bit later, but we are going to use the fake Ilium and have the true Ilium for ourselves. Okay, so now we can go to the slums, and we can go talk to Unger Hildark. And also, I would like to just direct some attention to this planner sphere over here, that I didn't really show in the playthrough yet, but it's not a construction that it's supposed to be here. It's basically a magical sphere that apparently appeared in Athkatla in recent times. And we're going to talk with some people about it once we are about to do the quest involved. Or that's, you know, inside the planner sphere. But I just want to direct a little bit of attention to it, because it's going to matter soon. And here's Unger Hildark. What are you staring at? Ain't illegal to be a dwarf, last I heard. Take your eyes off of me and put them someplace safe. But you're not an ordinary dwarf, are you? Not by a long shot. So now that we know that he is a Duergar, yeah, we can basically say whatever to progress the conversation here. Yeah, but he's going to say that he doesn't have any Ilium. It's that simple. My source is inaccessible, and you aren't getting any. So what's the problem? Very few opportunities for mercantile trade in this place when you are even a hill or mountain dwarf. Alright, fool. You wish to share my problem? I'll give it to you. You want Ilium? You can wait for it. We mine it deep in the earth, and it's dangerous going. It's rare enough when production is normal. This is all useless information, though, because my latest shipment was stolen from under me, so there is no Ilium for anyone for another season or more. So we can exact justice for him. Yeah, it's lost to me anyway. I show my face, and he'll have the guards on me just for being Duergar. Typical of this city. I'm just a poor businessman, but I'll be jailed just for my shadowed face. The bastard that robbed me looks like a rock gnome, so he's welcomed with open arms. They wouldn't guess at what a fiend he is. After I hired him, I found out what he had done. I suppose that's why he cheated me and took off. Like, yes, life is unfair. You can go after him if you like. Last I heard, he was holed up in the Bridge District, a derelict little place bought with my gold. Here, I'll even mark it on your map there. And this is basically a reference to a map marker that's already on the map in the Bridge District that just says derelict house. And it's kind of like, you know, Unger Hildark now points us to that house. He won't be moving much. He was on the run from Baldur's Gate when I met him. So the name was Neb. He left a few families crying, or so I hear. Tell his corpse that Unger Hildark sent you. So Neb, if you remember from Baldur's Gate 1, was the guy in the Flaming Fist prison that helped us escape when we got arrested after we came back to Baldur's Gate City from Candlekeep. And we remember from Baldur's Gate 1 that he was a child murderer. So now finally we're going to have an opportunity to deal with him. And yeah, here's the map marker, Derelict House. And I think I've already opened the lock to this place earlier. And we can just go inside, because there are going to be some interjections from our party members, but basically only Senashira and Kirinai are going to stay in.
You wouldn't hurt a gnome, would you?
Yeah, so you're Neb, eh? And we can either say that it was Unger Hildark that sent us, or we can say that he's on the run from Baldur's Gate. My former life does come back to haunt, so be it, though I shall miss the children, so... Ah, yes, the children. And, Jaheira now mentions that she remembers now that he's that child-killing gnome, and she says that his head must be brought to the authorities. And that's exactly what we're going to do, and she automatically attacks Neb. But I'm sorry, Jaheira, you're going to have to stay out of this. You're going to go outside. Now, we're also going to make Kirinai invisible, and we're just going to approach with Senashira.
What is it?
Yeah, and he summons basically 4 child spirits that actually drain levels. And I also realized that I never really explained the mechanic of level drain, how exactly it works. It's pretty straightforward, but just to give a proper explanation. Oh, actually, they only level, drain 1 level per hit, but some creatures do more, like vampires drain 2 levels per hit, and some more advanced undead usually can drain even more per hit. So if you get hit like once or twice, it's generally not that big of a deal, but it quickly adds up and spirals out of control, because when you temporarily lose levels through that mechanic, you can then restore your levels or cure yourself by casting one of the restoration spells. But once you are temporarily level drained, it has all of the consequences of going down in levels. So you lose your Thako, you lose your different thief skills or your memorization slots, so you basically lose your spells. You also lose your maximum hit points. So this can be pretty drastic, and also if you get level drained down to 0, you just die. So yeah, pretty nasty mechanic if you get hit a couple times too many, I guess. And yeah, we have Kirinai here because Neb likes to go invisible, and we have so we can get him out of there by detect illusion. And we have Senashira because she's the only one permanently protected against level drain. So these child spirits, Neb is moving around, so he might be somewhere else. Oh, he's over there. So yeah, these child spirits will not be able to... Okay, illusion dispelled, but he gets another potion. He actually managed to poison us with his special dagger. Maybe we can just quickly, in between these poison ticks... Okay, now that was one. Slow poison. Alright, and finish him off. And now these child spirits are going to be free. Come on. Alright, we get some experience for them. Also, Lesser Restoration is cast on everyone, so we are now all fatigued. And we get some experience for not hurting these child spirits. Alright, when we loot Neb, we actually get his head that we can bring to someone, and we will do so in a second. Then we have some good potions from him. We have the Ilium, the real Ilium, and also have his special dagger, which has this poison property here. If you fail your save versus poison, it's a pretty good one, but unfortunately it has charges, so it can run out of that property, and you can recharge the item, I guess. But also the problem with it is that it's not usable by anyone that's not evil. So Kirinai unfortunately can't make use of this dagger. Okay, and the children left us a peril each, and there's also a trap and a lock to deal with, so that we can get a little bit more goodies from here.
I require rest. The demand we stop. be welcome, lest we endanger ourselves.
Okay.
Speak quickly and precisely.
Now we're going to also
Without yes.
go to the docks district for a second.
When I led soldiers in the
And we're
order.
basically going to engage in that quest that Tolgeris was about to give us. But in a little bit of a different way, I guess. We're going to visit this home of Valygar Korthala. And the role-playing reason for this can be that, you know, we are not so new to Athkatla anymore. And of course, we've been asking around about different cowled wizard business. And we've been listening for rumors regarding the cowled wizards. And it might have been the case that we've heard a rumor about a nobleman by the name of Valygar Korthala being on the run from the cowled wizards. So we decide to go and investigate, look into you know, his household here. Maybe one of his servants could share some information about that, and that's going to be the case.
What
Here's
is it?
Hervo,
It must be done.
and basically Tolgeris's quest would he would tell us that a murderer, Valygar Korthala, killed some cowled wizards and is on the run, and our mission would be to find him. So of course one of our first instincts would be to visit his home and see where he's hiding from the cowled wizards. But here, you know, let's just say that we basically came to investigate this rumor that we've heard around town. And if we just want to like before we like inquire a little bit more, and before he tells us a story about what happened, if we want to just like look around, he's actually going to run out of the building and call the guards on us. So he's going to run out, and a little bit, a few seconds later, a pretty big squad of guards and mages is going to come in and fight us. But yeah, if we ask who lives here, yeah, this is the house of the good Master Korthala, Valygar Korthala. I'm Hervo, his manservant, if you will. So we can ask, when is Valygar going to be back? And he's going to now mention the sordid business with the wizards. So we can ask more about that. And it was just awful. They came here 2 weeks ago demanding to see Master Korthala. I was just shaking in my shoes. I heard them upstairs. They demanded that the master do something, and he refused. I remember poor Master Korthala was so upset he was shouting, he was. There was a loud crash, fighting. I was terrified when the wizards came back down the stairs, alone. They said Valygar had committed murder and must pay. Master Korthala had slipped away from them. The wizards told me not to say anything, but I am desperate with worry. Do you think the master is all right? It's hard to say, but now if we suggest looking around for some clues, he's going to allow it. I can get a potion of insight, unlock that chest,
Yes.
and investigate upstairs.
What is it? I am listening. Speak.
And there's going to be a certain note here
Nothing to it. Yes. It will
that
be
we're
done.
going to be able to show that one guy in the Council of Six building. Just need to sort our stuff here. Oh, there was actually some gold over there. So yeah, we have this tax notice here. A tax assessment for Valygar Korthala, which mentions that the Korthala family had a property in the Umar Hills, a cabin in there, which of course is a clue
What is it?
as to where he might be hiding from the cowled wizards.
Without doubt. Quickly
And we can
and
ask
precisely.
Hervo about it. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about Valygar and the Korthala family. Yeah, the master has friends amongst the woodsmen and rangers. He was in the scouts, you see, up until a couple of years ago. Very skilled. I don't remember any of his friends specifically. The Korthala family has a poor reputation amongst the nobles in this town, to tell the truth. The Korthalas have always had a talent for magic. Many dangerous sorcerers in the line. A bad thing in Athkatla. Not Master Korthala himself, of course. And yeah, it's time we leave. So yeah, now we have some info about Valygar Korthala, and we have that tax notice, and we can actually show it to that guy Lars. So let's go back to the government district, and we have some business to attend to. So first, since I don't like Bylana too much, we're going to freak her out a little bit.
You are more than
Because
welcome.
if we ask her about Imoen and the Cowled Wizards, she is actually pretty supportive of the Cowled Wizards' business here. Yeah, we can say that Imoen is not an evil sorceress, but yeah, in her opinion, magic corrupts, and the Cowled Wizards are basically doing a good job. And she says that she's not going to be able to do much, and if Imoen is not a magical deviant, then her rehabilitation process should not take long. So she doesn't even get a trial here. Yeah, apparently the Cowled Wizard's machinations are a valuable service in her opinion. And well, I can do nothing. So, yeah, thank you, useless person here. We're going to freak you out now, and by showing her the head of Neb. And she's like, oh, this is an actual head, isn't it? And she will suggest bringing it to Chief Inspector Braga.
Is there something that you need, citizen?
Chief Inspector Braga at your service. I work under the magistrate investigating the crimes of this city. And there are plenty that require my attention, believe you me.
Yeah, so we can show him the head of Neb. And also he's involved in the quest with the Bridge District murders. If we just report to Lieutenant Aegisfield and don't follow through with the whole thing, and then later on find Aegisfield dead, we can actually bring his body to Chief Inspector Braga as well. Yeah. You have no idea what a despicable creature this Neb was. Or perhaps you do. Regardless, we're thankful for your help. I understand the Flaming Fist was looking for him as well. I'll send them a note explaining your deeds so they can stop looking now and get a reputation point. That's basically the biggest reward for this. And yeah, here's Lars. And now that we have that tax notice, we can ask him a little bit more about it. He's going to require a fee of 100 gold. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about the Corthala family and about its member Lavok. But apparently this Lavok was a powerful sorcerer that disappeared 500 years ago. And he had something to do with that big silver sphere that appeared in the slums, if you haven't seen it. So that's why I wanted to direct your attention a little bit to that planner sphere. And yeah, apparently, they have a little bit of a property in the Umar Hills, and that's pretty much all that we can get from him. He's yet another source that can place the Umar Hills on your map.
Speak.
We've of course had it since a long time because the boy Dellen, sent from Imnesvale, gave that to us. But yeah, I think Hervo also, when talking about his the Corthala property, that cabin in the Umar Hills, can put it on your map, I think, and this guy. So there's many different ways of getting that location onto your map. But anyway, I think this is going to be it for this episode. And so I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.